we go. All right. Well, welcome everybody. So this is our orientation for our Sojourners role at Littleton United Methodist Church. And so I'm grateful for the folks who have joined us on this Zoom tonight, and we're going to be recording this. So for posterity and for anybody who is interested in this role in the future. So the origin of it, and we'll say a prayer here in a second, but the origin of this is the new member team, and the previous pastor, Dizin Lotong, had this idea of having a role for someone in the life of our church who knows our church and has been in our church for a period of time, to be able to connect with folks who are new and to make sure we can connect them into the life of our church. We don't leave them hanging, so to speak. And so I'm grateful for you and for anyone who is interested in playing that role in the life of Littleton United Methodist. So thank you for that. Let's say a prayer, and then we'll jump into this. Gracious God, thanks so much for this time and for these friends who've joined us here on this call, and for all who may join their ranks in the future. We're grateful for our church, and we're grateful for your spirit that leads people to find us. And we pray that we are a welcoming place, a hospitable place, a place where people can get further along their walk with you. And we pray that this would be a role in the life of our church that would help people to do that. Pray that you bless this time and bless our conversation this evening. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen. Okay. So, like I said, there is a descriptor sheet. So if you are watching this recorded, we need to make sure you have that sheet so you have an idea of where we're headed with this. And again, thank you so much. So let's just start at the top of this. And so the process for this is that the new member team is really great at looking at Barb is our person at the moment who helps us get names every Monday of people who have visited that previous Sunday. And so the new member team helps to reach out to them. You all know the history of Littleton United Methodist Church. Folks get pies and they get contacted. They may get a card from the pastor, hopefully, and from other folks. But the new member team is really good at identifying those folks and kind of connecting with people. And then the next step, and what we've tried to build in, is to have an opportunity for people who have been coming and decide they're interested in joining. They can go and meet a member of the new member team at the welcome desk on a Sunday morning and help let us know that that's a step that they're interested in exploring. And the Sojourner program is a way for that, when they make that contact with us that they're interested in joining, for us to take a step with that and make sure that there's somebody for that person or that family or that household who's going to be paying attention to them, going to know them, going to be able to seek them out on Sunday morning and say, hi, how you doing? Who's able to do the things we're going to talk about here in a minute, so that we are hopefully, when somebody finds our front door, one of the things that churches risk all the time if we don't connect with somebody after they make it to the front door, we talk about how sometimes folks find their way then to the back door if we don't pay attention to them and help them to connect while they're with us. And so this is our effort to help stop that flow and help people to stick in the life of our church family, because we know it's such a great place for people to be in such great fellowship, such great spiritual support, and a place for people to engage in their spiritual journey. So that's what this is really about. So once somebody does reach out to us and let us know that they are really wanting to join the church, somebody from the new member team will look at our list of sojourners who have done this orientation and are ready to go, and hopefully find somebody that there's some affinity with. And so don't doubt us if we connect you with somebody that you're not sure what the affinity looks like. It may just be that we had an idea, right? But we know that all of you are going to be great at welcoming anybody. What we want you to do, and I think it's important off the top here to say that we don't expect this to be a long-term, in-depth kind of commitment. We expect this to maybe be a few months with somebody. It's a short-term commitment for you as a sojourner, unless you really connect with the people that you're paired with. But this is something we don't expect to be a huge burden. It's just a part of being a member of the church and being able to help other people to make that connection themselves. Important things that are listed on this description of the position. One is we don't expect you to know everything about the church. That's not what this is about. We expect you to be. We call on you for this because we know you're people who know how to find out stuff about the church. So if someone or you have a question about something that comes up in your conversations with these folks, we know you know who to call or who to have them call. So don't feel like you've got to know everything at all. Also, you can pour as much into this as you want to and be as creative as you want to be, or keep it very simple. It really is. We are looking for you to listen to the Spirit in this, right? And so feel free to follow your heart about how this might go in any given situation. And if you do it a couple of times or more than once, it may look very different from one time to the next, depending on where you are in your life and where these new folks are in their lives. So don't feel like that there is one rigid kind of template to follow. It could look very different. And a couple things that we say in here too. One is we are not pairing you in order to make you best friends for life with these folks. This could be a fairly short-term thing as you help them find other places and other people. An example: if somebody looks like they would really be a fit for the Seekers class, and you get them connected with a Seekers class, there's their connection, right? I mean, they're going to be embraced and welcomed in that way by that group, for example. And that could happen the same way with a dozen other different groups in the life of our church, right? And so, if that happens, job well done. They're all set. One of the things we're really interested in, though, is for the folks who may have a little harder time figuring out exactly where they're connected, and for you to be able to follow them and say hi on Sundays and to be able to kind of keep up with them for the first 2 or 3 months while they figure out where their point of connection is. That's what we're looking for. So we imagine for most of these situations, you will wind down your role as sojourner with them as it feels appropriate to do that. And that may happen sooner or later, again, depending on how that goes for this household or this family. All right. Any initial questions before we get into the process here? Yeah, Barb.
Can you just go over what the people at the welcome desk are giving the people? Because I know there's a bag with information, but I think that would be helpful for us to know, like, what they've been told before we get assigned.
That's a good question. How about you folks who are on the new member team? You have an answer to that before I make one up?
There are several lovely folders that Tara has done to introduce people. There's one brochure talks about the ministries of the church, children's and the youth and all the ministries. And then there is others about just the structure of the church. There should be a map. Last I looked, they didn't have the map in there, but they're working on to get a map. And then there's also a list of Sunday school classes, and that's all I can remember.
Okay, thank you.
I'll ask. Did you all hear that from Martha? Was that steady for you all? Okay, good. All right, I'm messing with my internet connection here to make sure that it holds for us. So hopefully that was just a pause for me. So thank you, Martha. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's fairly simple what we've got at the welcome desk right now. Okay, great. Well, let's jump in here. So first step, in the basic elements of this work. One is to make once the new member team calls you and pairs you up with someone. The first step is just to make your initial contact with them. So that could be a phone call, could be an email, hopefully a phone call. So you hear voices. And talk to them just to make that initial connection, and to set a time for your first meeting with them. And this will be a time for you just to sit down and get to know them. And this is one of those areas where you can be as involved or as simple as you want to be with it. It could be that you meet them at a coffee shop, right? If you don't live too far from each other, if you want to do that, that would be great. If you want to just set a Sunday, like the next Sunday, to meet at Olis. Yes, Martha?
I found in trying to contact people now, they don't answer their phone. It's not like the old days. So if that doesn't work, then try texting or emailing.
Great. Yeah, very good. Yeah, that first contact may be a little tricky these days. Good point. Good point. Once you do make that contact, though, figure out a time to get together with them. And again, it could be a coffee shop. It could be as simple as saying, this Sunday, could we meet in the fellowship hall during more than coffee and sit down at the table and we can talk during that. That way, and that may be the simplest for some of these, because it won't matter which service they're coming to. Whether they come to the early service or the late service, you could meet at that middle time. To have that conversation with somebody. So again, though, you can be as creative as you want to be with that and spend as much time on that as you have. The point is really to just sit down with them face to face. Then the conversation there are a few goals for that conference with them. And we've got those questions that are in the second bullet, under the second bullet point on the sheet. And these are kind of targeted. Obviously, they'll lead into other questions for you. But a lot of listening and a lot of asking questions. And feel free to take notes during this conversation. Some initial questions. What's your story? Who are you? What brought you to this point? And you'll find out then if they're coming from a different state, from out of the state, or if they're coming from another church in town, or where are they coming from? What are their roots that way? Where'd they grow up? Some basic things like that. Ask them what they like to do. What are their interests? That'll help you get an idea of who in the church they might have an affinity for and be able to more readily connect with. Elaborate on that. If they're working, if they have a day work in the home raising kids, if they're retired, what are their hobbies? What are the things they do? Do they ski? Do they fish? What is it that they might do? This is where you might discover that they're interested in music, which would be a great thing at our church. We have a place for that. So there are a lot of different possibilities that might come up in these conversations. For you, some of them are going to be very talkative, just like some of us are very talkative. Some may not be. And so if they're not terribly talkative, it's going to be more important for you to ask questions and to listen and to try to get them to share more about themselves. That's one of those things that most people really like to do. It's one of the easiest things that we do when we're asking people about themselves and showing them that we're really interested. So if you can really get that across for them, that you're really interested in who they are and what makes them tick, and in a healthy way, that it's all about them connecting with this church family, and that you're wanting them to be able to do that. Question: what brought you to Littleton United Methodist? There are a lot of churches around us, a lot of churches in town, right? So what is it that brought you to us in particular? And if you're talking to them in this conversation, they've already expressed an interest in joining. So this could be really helpful for us in your process here to figure out if the music's what brought them to the church. That may be where they want to connect, right? They may be self-evident, that at this point, what brought them to this point with Littleton United Methodist. But it can also be helpful for us if you hear an interesting answer uh, to this, pass it along to us, because it'll be really helpful for us as the staff and leadership in the church to have a sense of what it is that is that hook that leads people to think that our church, of all the churches that they know of at this point, our church really had what they were attracted to and what appealed to them in their faith journey. Then it's really useful to know how much do they know about Methodism. Is this somebody who is coming from First Church in Birmingham, Alabama, and they've been members there for 60 years and they moved out here to be close to family? There may not be a whole lot about United Methodism that they need to learn. They may already know it. They may have taught the membership classes at their church where they're coming from. That's important to know. It may be somebody who has never been to church in their life, in which case they probably do want to know more about the Methodist Church and United Methodism in general. For somebody like that, for anybody really, but especially for someone like that, we have on our YouTube channel, we have the recordings of our Radical Methodism class that we did a few months ago. And those 4 sessions, it would be a 4-hour commitment for somebody to watch those. That's a great way for people to get an initial understanding of where the denomination comes from and how the denomination has become what it is. Great introduction. So I would encourage you to steer people towards that. If they have other kind of questions, that's a gap we haven't quite filled yet. And whether we need to create a class, whether it's 1 session or more, that we would again record with some basic Methodist stuff, we may do that too. But right now, that Radical Methodism class is the one to steer people towards. And I would love to sit down with anybody who would like to sit down with me if they have specific questions about the denomination, how it relates to other denominations. What is the compare and contrast conversation to have about what makes us different from the Lutherans or the Catholics or the non-denominational church down the street from them. I'm happy to have those conversations, and you will have varying comfort levels with those conversations. Feel free to talk about that with them yourself. And see what their questions are. You're asking them questions, but always make sure that before you finish that you ask them what their questions may be. After you've had that conversation, then you can kind of proceed. And the next point on the sheet here is to brainstorm a short list of people in the church who you think they might get along with, and the groups they might be interested in trying out. Figure out for you after this conversation where you would like to suggest that they connect with the church, whether that's a Sunday school class or the green team if they're interested in those things. If music is their thing, the choir could be it. If technology is their thing, we'd love to get more people connected with the technology in the sanctuary, right? So the safety and security team is a great way for folks to get involved and to start learning the church and if they have time to be there for events and that sort of thing. That's a wonderful group. That's an active group that has a very specific niche and would be a great way for folks to learn the church. So you could think about what are the 2 or 3 places that you would really recommend to them that they start meeting people and that you could introduce them to folks on a Sunday morning or another time. You don't have any questions or comments, anything you would add to this that you're having ideas about what we might add to this? Not yet. Okay. If you do, just raise your hand. The next thing is when we do get to the point for them to join, we would like for you to be their sponsor with them, so that when they stand up in front of the church and take your membership vows, that you would stand with them for that, so that they would feel that support. We're going to have, with folks who want to join the church, we're going to have people everywhere from, again, people who are longtime Christians and United Methodists to people who may need to be baptized. And if they need to be baptized, we'd ask you to stand with them for that as well. There in front of the church. We don't want anybody to feel alone, and it'll also be helpful for the church to see who is connected with them and who knows them better, because there may be somebody in the congregation who thinks, oh, what little I just heard about that person, I'm curious, and they might say, Martha, what do you know about these people? What, should I call them about X or Y or Z ministry in the church? So that would be great. An idea that we've had is to have the second Sunday of the month kind of be our Sunday of the month that we think about people joining, since communion's on the first Sunday, and later Sundays in different times of the year have different things going on. Holidays happen and that sort of thing later in the month, and so we want to try to avoid that. And it would just give us some consistency. But if somebody can't make it, like I had one couple say, well, we'd love to, they want to join, and they've been coming regularly, but the second Sunday will never work. For example, they have a regular second Sunday thing that they do, I think, with family. So this is not a hard and fast. If we need to do it on a third or fourth Sunday, that would be just fine. But that's what I'm kind of thinking of in terms of helping to make it efficient. Yeah. So then after that, after they do join, then our idea is for you to kind of follow them for a little while, make a few more phone calls. Again, it's kind of dependent on how well they have folded into the life of the church, and if they've connected with other folks in the church, that's when you can really start winding this down. And you can be explicit about it if you like. After you've called them a couple times after they've joined, just to check on them and make sure they're okay. You can say, okay, I've been your Sojourner, and it looks like you're really connected with the choir or with the Sunday school class or whatever. I am still going to be a sibling in faith in your church family. I want to see you all the time, but I'm not necessarily going to follow you and continue making calls as your Sojourner. You can be explicit about that, so it doesn't just feel like you left them hanging. That may be a good barometer of whether you're ready to wind it down. When you're ready to say that to somebody, you will probably have a sense with anybody that you're walking in this way with when they've connected in the life of the church. And for somebody who has a really hard time connecting, it may be a little longer before you feel comfortable saying something like that. But that may be a measure for you. But use your best judgment. We trust you. That's why we're asking you to do this, to be able to be perceptive about folks and when it's time to wind it down. All right. And that's really about it. Anybody have any thoughts or questions?
I did have one question.
Yeah.
If say we get like a family that wants to join, are you going to connect the family up with one Sojourner, or are you going to kind of split it up, or how would something like that work?
Yeah. That will probably kind of depend. My guess is we would start one of the conversations that we had, Martha, may remember this, for a family, we might hook them up with a couple. Like we might say, Kelsey and Hobbs, could you be Sojourners with this family together, right? That may be one way that we do that, just to make sure that there's more capacity for connecting with a family in that way. And we would probably, that's where it's going to be individual, I think. It may make sense to a couple up with a single person or with one person or one half of a married pair among our Sojourners. We'll see how that goes. Martha, do you have a thought about that?
So I'm just looking at the list that we have so far. Is if it's a couple, then we line them up with a couple. And
Yeah.
if it's a single person, then we just do single.
Yep. That's been part of that affinity discernment that the new member team has done. Yeah. Thank you. Karen?
Will the new member team be letting these members or prospective members know that we're going to be contacting them? Will they know about this relationship? Or will we be calling them out of the blue to say hi? So
Yeah. No, I think they'll know. I think that our new member team folks, somebody expresses an interest, I think our new member team folks will let them know what the next steps will be, and that will be that we'll be pairing them up. I don't know that we've done that a whole lot yet, just because we hadn't done this yet, and we wanted to make sure that we had a group of trained, excuse me, oriented people. And now that we do, it's going to be easier for us to make that claim. We've got those people. Martha, do you have anything else you'd add to that?
I'm hesitating. A lot of times you are the contact with the person. And so that's up to you. You have to either let the committee know or tell the Sojourner. Yeah, that we haven't done that smoothly. I don't know.
Right.
We have to work on
Yeah.
that.
Yep. Yeah. This session tonight is part of us trying to smooth that out. So whether it's me or somebody from the new member team, we will definitely be letting folks know. It won't be a cold call. Yeah. Great. Good questions. All right. Well, that is about all we've got. If you come up with other questions about this, feel free to reach out to me or to Martha or to our new member team, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. If questions come up in the course of your being a Sojourner with one of our new folks, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. That's why we've called on you, is because we know you will reach out to get the answers to your questions. Martha?
Are you going to do any classes for people that are interested in Methodism and our church?
Yeah, that's what we mentioned a little bit ago. I think we may need to have a one session or two session kind of a thing for folks who want to know more about the immediate Methodist Church. I think that Radical Methodism class that's on our YouTube page would be the great introduction for someone who wants to know about the denomination itself. And then if there are other questions, then we can develop those resources. So if you're watching this later, we're doing this in January of 26. If you're watching later, there may be some resource out there now. But as of now, we don't have anything beyond the Radical Methodism sessions. All right. Great. Well, there we go. I appreciate your time and appreciate your willingness to serve in this way. Thank you so much. And we'll be talking to you about this in the future, no doubt. And you'll be getting a call at some point to help us welcome some new person or family into the life of our church. So thanks so much. You all have a good night.